Hi, I'm Moses Echodu, and welcome again to my cancer story, sharing experiences. Episode one, I was talking about my cancer story, how I found out that I had cancer and what I went through and the like. But today, I want to particularly talk about something that I think many of us probably wonder, and that is why we should not force people to share their cancer stories, because I'm sure that many of you've seen one or two people who are free and able to share their cancer stories, their cancer experiences, how they survived and things like that, while at the same time you'll also find that there are those who will not share their stories at any one given moment of time. So what I'm going to say may not apply to each and every person, but a few will probably resonate with what I'm talking about. So here's what I can say. Yeah. One, when we're going through cancer, there are a lot of things that we go through. Uh, you know, the psychological effect, seeing people around you dying, which again culminates to the psychological effect, and then can talk about so many things. Um, but at the end of it all, what's important for us to note is that when you look around, you find that there are cancer patients, there are cancer survivors who are willing to share their stories, who want to share their stories. And then there are those who completely don't want to share their stories. For some, what they want to do is to be able to completely forget about what they went through. They want to just write it off. After 5 years of going back and forth to check that cancer has not come back, and they tell them, because usually after 5 years, the cancer may not come back, or it will wait another probably 20 or something years. I'm not really a scientist or a doctor, so I can't tell you exactly what can happen, but that is probably something that I've kept on hearing from around the circles. So you find that there are those who don't want to share their stories. There are those who don't want to to go through that whole experience of retelling or re-experiencing what they went through. And then you'll find that there are some of us who were saying, listen, if I can save one or two other people, why not? Let me be able to share this story. Let me be able to help someone to understand what takes, what could happen if they themselves found themselves in that scenario. So, um, one, you find that for some people, the whole experience of waking up every day, seeing your colleagues dying, people that you used to play with, and this mostly applies with children. You find that when the chemotherapy or the okay, let's just say treatment is seemingly working and is in a great place, you're now feeling energetic, you're now feeling like you're ready to go. Suddenly you find that you're now in a place where uh, you want to be able to just play with the fellow kids, have a moment with them, enjoy the moments. And you can be able to see this if you visited the Uganda Cancer Institute. You'll find a bunch of kids who are playing. And unfortunately, some of them, the next day, the next morning, you find that the cancer has come back strongly and has taken them. Or for others, you find that the cancer came back and just had a whole different whole order altogether on their lives. And so when they finally manage to beat the cancer, what they want to do is to just go home, forget about it all, pick up their pieces, pick up their lives, start living a whole different life altogether, start touring the world, start touring Africa, whichever really, and try to have an experience just in case the cancer decides to come back, because as cancer patients, we are in that constant fear that the cancer will come back, like I said earlier. And so you find that for some people it's a case of, let me just forget this whole traumatic experience, let me just put my emotion, let me put all that behind me and start trying to recreate memories, create something different. And to talk about the whole cancer experience becomes rather very painful. For some people talking about it, it reminds them about the friendships that they had made while they were getting treatment, the friendships that they could no longer pursue, because the person either passed on or the person has also gone a whole different direction altogether. And I think that is one of the major reasons that people don't share their stories. I myself, I'll tell you this, it took me a bit of a while to actually start sharing my story. While I was in primary, it was only the teachers who knew that I actually had had cancer and that I was going through the whole treatment or recovery process. In high school, it was also the teachers. I think I started sharing my story around senior five or senior six, and even then, I was only sharing with people I deemed very, very close to me, because I did not feel comfortable sharing the story outright. The same goes even when I was at campus. I could not really share the story, but as I was going through campus, as I was sharing my story, I started, discovering why I needed to share the story, why it was important that I got involved in the fight against cancer. I did want to see, other kids becoming part of the statistics of this cancer. So I started sharing my story. I started talking to many people. Uh, just after campus, I went and joined an organization that was working with youth and children in fighting cancer, called Uganda Child Cancer Foundation, and the project Children Caring About Cancer, or we termed it as 3C. It became a very massively attached program to me, because then I was having an impact with young people. I was having an impact with the youth, creating that bit of awareness in regards to cancer. So you'll find that there are few of us who are willing to share the story. There are few of us who are willing to go all out and talk about how we went through cancer, or what can be done. But not everyone has this. Like I said earlier, for some people it's a case of, can I just forget about all of this? Can I just bury this? Can I bury this whole experience and forget about it? For some people it's a case of, you want to forget it for a certain period of time and come to terms with what happened, and then you can start sharing. And it is why it's very, very important that as friends, and as families, that even after fighting with them in hospital to ensure that they beat their cancer, and once a doctor tells them, ring the bell, you're now a cancer survivor, that's not the end of the journey. And that is very unfortunate for the friends, for the family, for the caregivers, because your care does not stop at them being announced as cancer free. It's a sigh of relief, yes, definitely. It gives you room to breathe. It gives you room to also try and be yourself. But being part of this person's life is a whole lot, because now you have to see that they regain their confidence, they regain their self-esteem, they regain their momentum in life, they try and as much as possible to force their way through society, because um, luckily now we are slowly walking away from a period in time where I would say stigma was really harsh. I went through that phase, and probably I'll talk about that in the next episode. But you find that for some people they have to go through the stigma. You have a scenario where there are people who are scared that you could transmit this to them, the cancer to them, or transmit the cancer to the children, because there's some hereditary cancers. So there's all that kind of fear. And as family and as friends, your responsibilities in getting this person not only just to beat cancer, but to see that they regain confidence and energies, are constantly up there. So I think at the end of it all, as family and friends, uh, in as much as I feel sorry for you, I think that your job is still a lot to play, and to be done. and and I can't say how much I appreciate my friends and my family members who stood by me throughout that entire phase. The teachers who did everything to keep it a secret. Because when I was at school, I was playing football, basketball, swimming. I was literally doing each and everything there was, because it helped me to get over this some of these memories. And I used dark humor as a way of trying to come out of that dark, psychological phase that I was in, where I saw people dying around me. So when you see cancer survivors, please don't ask them why they are not sharing their stories yet. Because for some of them it's a slow journey. For others it's a fast journey. Someone just beats cancer today and tomorrow they want to share it. You know, and it's a different whole story altogether for different people. So I think for me it's very important that we understand why not everyone is able to share their cancer stories. For some people, they will never share their cancer stories. The only person that they will be sharing their cancer stories with is definitely going to be their doctor. It's going to be the nurses. And I think at the end of it all, their parents and their friends, and for some, they will even tell you, listen, please don't tell anyone that I had cancer. You know, and so at the end of it all, I think it's very important that if you know a friend who is battling cancer, be with them. If they are beaten cancer, just be with them when they are ready to share their stories with the rest of the world, which ultimately, uh, for majority, we find that time. We get to that stage where we want to share our stories. So until if your friend, your family member gets to that phase where they are willing to share their cancer story, please, and I am begging, please bear with them, and once they are ready to share their story, stand by them, because I kid you not, they will need it. The first time I shared my story, I was breaking down in different phases because reliving that traumatic experience is not something everyone should go through, or I would not recommend. I would not want it for anyone because it's a whole different journey altogether. So at the end of it all, as friends, as family members, as society, until someone is willing to share and ready to share their cancer experience, please do not bombard them with questions. Yes, but yes, today this episode is particularly about cancer survivors. I want to say for each and every one of you who's sharing your story, thank you so much for encouraging people around you, for encouraging your family members, your friends, and the friends of your friends, to get out there and get tested for cancer, get screened, because it's very, very important that you get screened. And like I said in the first episode, there are so many places in Uganda now that where you can go and get screened. If you're in the west, you can go to Mbara Hospital. There's a cancer clinic. If you're in the eastern, you can go to Mayuge, you can go to Mbale and get screened for cancer. Ginger as well is having a cancer ward, Ginger Referral Hospital. And in Kampala, you can go to Nsambia Hospital, you can go to Uganda Cancer Institute, I think even Nakasero. So please, I'm begging that you go get yourself tested. For fellow cancer survivors, if you're not ready to share, please don't beat yourself up. Don't beat yourself up. You are not under any pressure to share your stories. Take your time, recover, and then share when you're ready to. For those who are sharing, thank you so much for the energy that you display, to share your stories. And for the family members and the friends who are constantly by our side as cancer survivors, thank you so much. You don't know how much it means to us that you're constantly in our faces, you're constantly in our lives, to see to it that we are happy and we have a lot of energy around us, and so that we can be able to live through each and every single day. It's me, Moses Echodu, and I'm saying thank you. Bye bye. Till next episode.